there are things that your partner can do in terms of like showing that they love you or that they like spending time with you. But I think there is a fine line between like your partner actually doing that because like obviously you guys are in a relationship versus like you seeking that out because you're insecure and like you're empty within and you don't have that love within yourself.
Alrighty. Well, okay, my week, I don't know. It was really busy. I had so many visitors. So I did a bunch of things that honestly, I think unless you're like going on first dates, and Angelinos would not do. You know?
She was playing
like
tourist for the week.
Yeah, like Griffith, Getty, the Van Gogh exhibit. Like I literally went through all the beaches again, you guys. I like went from
Manhattan,
like Torrance,
Hermosa.
Torrance, Redondo, Hermosa, Manhattan, Malibu, like just straight through the thing. Paradise Bowls, watching the sunset. I just did the whole Southern California tourist agenda.
Damn.
Other than that, I wanted to give a little update.
Okay.
I wanted to give a little update. So as you guys heard me scream in a couple episodes ago about my birthday gift, I Hana got me hokas.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. They're so light. Like they're great. I will say the ones that Hana got me. Okay, wait. Actually, funny freaking story. So I bring these shoes home, right?
Okay.
And my dad is like shooketh at how light they are. Like literally so shooketh, we buy a pair for him on the spot. Yeah.
Daniel Jung got the hookup too? Okay.
Yeah. And like my dad was so funny because my mom was like, okay, I'll get it for you as a gift. And then I was like, I don't know. It's like kind of a habit of mine to always check the like sale section first. And he was like, bruh, basically he was like, bruh, your mom says she'd be buying it for me. Like, why are you looking in the sale section?
He said, get me the bestseller.
literally. And I think those shoes actually inspired me. I haven't done it yet, but I will, to sign up for a half marathon.
What? Dude, I've always wanted to run a half marathon.
Wait, should we do it together? Like,
do you want to?
I really want to. And so, because is it just me or were you guys like not on Instagram and just like this past weekend, everyone was running a half marathon?
Sorry, I
have cut Instagram stories.
Yeah, I literally
also have been kind of
off.
Which today I actually deleted Snapchat.
Who are you?
I know. I just felt like it was Snapchat is not toxic, but I don't know. I just like felt like I needed to delete an app, and I chose Snapchat.
Nice,
but
didn't make the cut.
Yeah, it didn't make the cut. But yeah, I was like Googling like half marathons. And I don't think I'd be prepared for October, but I'm thinking maybe like a light one in our city, maybe Turkey Trot, starting with that.
November.
Dude,
yeah.
I've always wanted to
and
do
then like
that.
officially kind of setting like PR goals and stuff in December or January.
Wow.
You know, and there are a lot happening. I didn't know there were these many. Like there was this many. Like there were so many. All right, then maybe we should sign up together.
I'm not. Count me out.
Okay, but I'll still let you know so that you can come and cheer for us. And then we can grab like nachos and stuff afterwards.
Okay. Nachos and stuff afterward. Amazing.
Yeah. And then also just kind of in the fitness vein, or not on a separate track and trace.
Oh my gosh. Guys, we gotta stop using this. Jesus.
I love it. I think we need like the choo choo sound effect. Like,
okay,
you know?
I'll add that.
So for my birthday, I also got Bala weights. It's BALA. Bala weights. And
like bala?
what's a bala?
What's a bala?
Like, you bala.
Bala wage, yo.
I was thinking maybe like you're trying to say it in Korean, like bala, like bali, yeah, like bali, but like you bala, like are you fast? And I was like, is that what she's trying to say? But anyways, I have yet to try them out, but I'm really excited to try them out. So I just want to share with you guys that I'm really excited to try them out. Okay, and the reason why I haven't tried it out yet is because I'm finally getting back into boxing, and they're like, the ones that I have are like ankle/wrist.
Yes.
Wrist weights. And I think I have the 1 pounders. Oh. But Yeah, like if I think like you want to run, or sometimes like it becomes stagnant, right? Like if you're doing the same workout all the time. So whether you are like doing a light jog, I think these add like another level of
Intensity.
Yes, that's the word I'm looking for. Intensity. And I just like I'm just getting back into box union ish. I'm not like fully still, like it's not a regular yet. So once I like go more regularly, I think I'm gonna wear them to my boxing classes.
Wow. Yeah.
That was my week.
Well, okay, speaking of marathons / half marathons, I have to share this on behalf of Allie. So my roommate Allie is in like a couple fantasy leagues, right? And last year she like literally made it to the semifinal. Like she was killing it. And so I have had high expectations for her this year, right? And so she was telling me about how like the loser of their fantasy league has to sign up for the LA Marathon.
Whoa.
Wait, but isn't that's so soon? Is it not?
Is it so soon? I don't know. Is it so soon?
It's pretty soon.
Oh gosh.
I think it's like towards the end of this year.
Which means
soon.
She needs to start training because she is not doing well. And so I will be on the sidelines to cheer her on, as well as you guys.
Yes.
But yeah, no, I think this week has been like fairly chill. I just realized like, why am I taking so many showers, guys? I literally go to the gym in the morning and then have to shower, and then I go to jujitsu at night and then have to shower, and then literally I just sleep, wake up, and then have to shower again. And so I've been thinking about investing in the Crown Affair hair towel, and it's like microfiber, so it's supposed to be better for your hair. And so so if anyone wants to get me that for Christmas, please go ahead. Please go ahead, because I heard that you're supposed to get Christmas gifts now, like prior to Black Friday.
Yes.
Because apparently everything is just out on the ships in the ocean.
Yes.
Right?
Did we talk about that?
Maybe briefly.
So it's like crazy because of COVID, like things weren't being made in the factories and all that. And so like things like from COVID are now at the ports, but I don't think like, this is such a Julu fact, but I'm going to go with it. Yeah. There aren't enough employees. And so they're not being able to like, they're not able to like offboard it like from those ships. And so the current orders now are like, behind those ships, bro, on the port.
Yeah,
you know,
it's kind of crazy.
So yeah, I think people said you were supposed to have started Christmas shopping actually Labor Day weekend, at least for this year.
Oh
because everything is so backordered.
Gosh,
yeah,
that is
everybody's
so
getting
crazy.
late presents.
I know.
Yeah, it's fine. I think we've all accepted it. But other than that, I stopped by Studs, like the earring like jewelry place, and their stuff is so cute. I think I'm gonna change out all of my earrings.
Wow.
Yeah, so be on the lookout.
Like, what are you going for?
I don't know, but I have 14 piercings to fill, so we'll see.
Yeah, Hana has a lot of piercings.
I have a lot of piercings, guys.
Yeah, every time I want a new one, I actually use you.
Really?
Yeah, I'm like, oh my, but Hannah has so many. Like, look at this, I don't even have that many.
Oh my god.
Thank you, my friend.
Okay, next time I want a tattoo, I'm gonna be like, Diane has so many.
That's like the worst one though.
No, it's Kaki's my sister.
No, use me. Use me.
Okay, both.
Use your sister and then use me.
Yeah.
Like, she'll be the intro, and then once you get like past her,
you'll be the body.
Yeah.
Almost like how I also Easter egged like our friends and them living with their boyfriends. Yes. You know what I mean? You need multiple.
Multiple examples.
Exactly.
You're right. I'm gonna be like, oh yeah, somebody at my church has a Bible verse on their arm. It may be the wrong Bible verse, but it is on their arm. So
well, we're here with the entire crew, the entire Oh my god! I was gonna say it like
Bulgogi.
the non. Yeah. Oh my god! How dare I? We're here with the entire bulgogi gang.
Wow, that was beautiful.
Yes, the entire bulgogi gang. Diane.
Yeah. If you guys don't know, Diane has been running all of our socials. So if you guys are DMing
like weird stuff to us, don't think it's like if you're talking to Hannah, like don't think you're talking to Hannah, which number one I can see, but she might have been the one answering you. So
it's all of us. It's
you never know. You never know.
Yeah.
You never know.
Yeah. But yeah, we have Diane to talk to us a little bit about confidence. You may have heard her in our breakup part 1 and 2 episode, but we wanted to bring her on today to just like kind of go through what is confidence.
Yeah.
How's everyone feeling today?
I'm feeling great.
Me too. I think it's this fall weather.
Actually, not the wind though. I'm not
Dude,
about the wind.
There was shit getting in my eyes yesterday.
And then we had to move after jiu-jitsu, it was really windy too. We had to move the palm leaves from the road. And then I were both doing that.
Wait, also, you know, like when I was pulling into jiu-jitsu, I literally like found a parking spot, but then my car, it was like a little bit too big for the spot. So I started backing up, right? And then like I heard like a big thump and I was like, fuck, did I hit the car? It was definitely a palm frond falling.
Is that what they're called?
A palm frond?
Yeah, like a palm tree frond.
Never heard
Palm
of that.
frond.
Wow.
What is a palm frond?
It's
Like a
literally the leaf. A frond. Are you sure?
Oh my god, it is!
Wow! I've learned something. new
Wow.
today.
So conclusion, weather report.
Yes.
Here in Los Angeles, it's been mighty windy.
Yeah.
It'd be really
real
windy.
cold. Yeah, real cold. 64 degrees. Yeah, we're dressed really comfortable.
Yeah, we're getting cozy for this confidence episode, y'all.
Yes.
Confidence.
Because I want to be able to be confident in anything and everything I wear. Because, you know, like sometimes when you dress like a little hobo-ish, like you just like don't feel good about yourself.
Yeah.
But,
Yep.
like I love when you dress a little hobo-ish and you just feel so good about yourself.
I
No? Anyone else relate?
never felt that.
Like the only place I feel really good about myself when I'm dressed in a hobo like fashion is at my house.
I can relate to you. I used to kind of be more like Julie. But then I think progressively over time, my style has changed to just be very casual. And so then yesterday I was just wearing a hoodie and a jean jacket and jeans and I felt ugly. I was telling Hana, like, Hana, today I just feel so ugly. I was just like, I have to get my brows done, I have to get my nails done, I have to get my lashes done, I need to get my shit together.
Okay, but honestly, it helps.
Yeah.
Like getting my
It
brows done,
does.
I'm like, oh, look at that. No more
Yeah.
unibrow. Like, that is beautiful.
Okay, so that was a little snippet of confidence, or when we maybe don't feel confident.
Yeah.
But we're gonna talk about confidence. We're gonna talk about confidence.
That's a part of it.
Yeah, I think I don't know. It's just like so much.
Wait, but
Like-
before we start, how
Yeah.
would you define what does being confident
Yes.
mean to you?
Yes. Okay. Well, I googled this. TLDR: confidence is essentially the stuff that turns our thoughts into action.
Whoa, I have never thought about confidence in that way.
Is what one site said, and obviously, I think if we look it up, like you'll see other definitions. But like so many things come to my mind when I read that, right? Like I think a thought we've definitely had during quarantine, but also when we started the podcast was like, what is the only thing stopping you from doing what you want, right? Is yourself. So, right, that's like, I don't know, I can see where this can be like the definition.
Yeah.
Confidence is essentially the stuff that turns our thoughts into action. And then I think like I was reading a couple more things and like a lot of people were asking questions like, oh, but like to even like turn your thoughts into action, don't you need confidence? Or like, how do you even like muster up the confidence to be confident and all that stuff? And so I think Diane, our guest, right? You have a lot of things to say about confidence or what you've learned about your confidence the past year. And I think you've asked me a couple questions about my confidence, which then made me question, like, I don't know why my people perceive me the way that they perceive me. Am I actually as confident as people think I am? And so we wanted to do a little bit of digging with that. I forgot to mention Hannah, but Hannah too.
I'm here, everyone. Thank you so much.
Hannah too. And just like, I don't know. I like asked my parents or asked my dad and my sister just to prepare for this. And I think like I definitely wanted to maybe start by talking about our childhood because I think that plays a crucial role in how we kind of like trust ourselves to be confident, which that was another thing I read was like confidence is essentially like the trust you have within yourself.
Ooh.
Yeah.
So lots of definitions.
Yeah.
I love that.
And actually, I want to make a comment about that because I think that over like the past like year or so, I think I had heard that like sometimes we lose trust in ourselves when we like aren't keeping our promises, right? And so if I am telling myself like tomorrow morning I'm going to the gym and I break that promise, then you start to lose this like confidence that you're going to follow through in things. And so I think like slowly but surely I'm like trying to learn how to like make sure I'm keeping my own promises. And then also just like following through in general, because us as humans, we're obviously like very driven by either fear or pleasure, right? Like when I think about confidence and like your definition of like putting your thought into action, I think a big part of that is definitely like my fear of failure, especially like growing up in the household that I did. It was your typical Asian American household, you know, where you're defined by everything you do, right? Like how you're doing in school, what extracurriculars you're doing, what you look like it's everything except for like who you are at your core. And so I think like slowly but surely through quarantine and like through this podcast, and just like having people to like bounce ideas off of, I personally am like slowly coming into myself.
Yes.
So we love to hear it.
Yes.
That's
But
awesome.
yeah, I mean, for you, Diane, like what was it kind of like in your household, like in terms of confidence and growing up? Like how were you raised?
I guess like I would have to start off with just my family dynamic. I grew up as a middle child, and I feel like a lot of people say that the middle child is overlooked. And I would have to agree with that. Well, in my family, at least. It was a little bit different, though, because I am the only girl. So it was kind of weird in the sense that when I did get the attention, there was a high standard or a higher standard or a high expectation for me. And so I think I never grew up with any validation or affirmations from both my parents. So in that way, I think it really hindered a lot of my self-esteem because I never got that from my parents. And so I would look for it from other people.
Because I think also like you're going to go looking for validation and attention no matter what. So if you're not receiving that at home, then like it's only natural.
Yeah. And I think obviously it is very natural to want validation and get those affirmations. Again, it's a part of the human experience. But for me, it became, or I realized it was unhealthy when a lot of my self-esteem was tied to the opinions of others. Like I couldn't feel confident in myself because I would always, it was dependent on other people.
Yeah. I think birth order, I don't know if it like matters so much, but that's just so different from my family. Yeah. Right. Like I have a younger sister, and I don't know, my worries about that are extremely different from yours, where I don't know if you've ever felt this, but like for me, there was a lot of pressure, right? Like I feel like a lot of eyes were on me, just like as a kid, just being the firstborn, like a daughter. It was almost like this confidence was, I did not want it, but it was just almost like kind of, you know what I mean? Like I kind of had to create it within myself. But back to the fear I always had was like making sure that I wasn't like stripping this confidence away from my sister, because like when they see that my parents are so happy with my accomplishments, I think inevitably then my sister thinks like, oh, that's what they want from me because that made them so happy. So then it ends up like her rooting. I'm just speaking for her. And this might so not be true. I don't know. But I feel like it is, because ultimately like what she did in high school were a lot of the activities that I did, right? And I always feel a bit bad because I feel like she was never fulfilled with those things that I found so much fulfillment in. Right? But I feel like for her as the younger sister, it was almost kind of like expected of her to do these things because I did it, right? Like that was the new minimum. That was the new like. Yep. But just with that being said, I think the order of birth. Your birth plays, I think, a big role in how like your family's dynamic, right, affects where your confidence stems from.
Yeah, because I think it'd be like, I just look at my brother and I feel like he's just always sure of himself, I guess. And I don't know if it was because he had the support from my mom, and also I wanted to point out that my parents are divorced, and so it was already hard in that sense. And so then like not having the support from my dad, who was kind of absent a lot of the times, but then my mom having to do just everything was, I think, also plays into that.
Yeah.
And so I don't blame her, you know, like again, like I think we talked about this previously too, like, you know, our parents didn't really know, or like, you know, it's like hard for us to, or hard as a child to kind of think about our parents as human beings. But yeah, I don't blame her at all. But yeah, it definitely played a huge part in the way that I thought about myself growing up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so when you say that you're, you know, I'm not seeking attention, but like looking for attention or validation in other people or things, like what were some of those things? Like when I think about it, maybe something that could come to mind is like a significant other.
Yeah, I mean, definitely significant other. Like I think the way that I found out that I even did this was because my ex-boyfriend pointed it out. And I think before that, I didn't really think it was an issue, because I just always grew up loving hanging out with people and like just being around people and like not really being alone. I think it was because, I mean, I grew up feeling alone a lot, so I like to cope with that. I would hang out with friends a lot, and I've always loved just like being around people. And then I think eventually it just became unhealthy, because I would, every time I felt sad, every time I needed to feel better about myself or anything that had to do with myself and my like inner self-esteem, I would go to someone to kind of help me cope. Or I don't know, I guess it was like a coping thing too, like where it's like, oh, I feel sad, I'm gonna call my friend. Like there was never any, and obviously you are entitled to do that because obviously they're your friends, but I think there is a fine line between like codependency almost, where like you're depending on people so much to kind of like fill this void within yourself. And I think that's when it becomes problematic, at least for, you know, like your inner self-confidence or like your self-esteem, is when like you're so dependent on other people. And so the main issue with when my ex-boyfriend pointed it out, I was doing it with him. Like I expected him to kind of fill this void within myself. And I didn't realize that until obviously we broke up. And you can hear more about this. I talk about this in our previous episode. But yeah.
I right as you said that, I thought of actually Tangled. You know when like a mother Gothel, is it Gothel? Gothel?
I believe you.
I think it's Gothel. Well, let's just go with Gothel. When Mother Gothel, right, is like so dependent on Rapunzel's hair. And then the moment it's gone, it's like, that's my favorite analogy that I've thought of yet. Because right, like
all the analogies.
Because when you strip that away, she like disappears. She's like not herself anymore, right? And it's like you're just like trying to like, right, like she's aging and aging, but she's like continuously trying to like find this, like you said, validation, like compliments. Like she's like, she's not fishing for it, but you know what I mean? Like she's so dependent on it that when it's gone, it's like poof. Like, do you even know who you are? Like you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like you become so lost.
Yeah, that's exactly what I went through. And like, you know, another thing, like anytime I felt low about myself, you know, obviously I have a very good support system, like with my friends at least, like I've always had. And so obviously if your friend is feeling low, you want to make them feel better. And so it's like every time I would feel low, like I know who to go to, because I knew that they would be able to give me that like immediate serotonin, like that attention, like, you know, it's like, oh, like why, like you're so beautiful, like blah 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 blah. But then you realize like you don't actually think those things about yourself, because you need somebody else to tell you. You know what I mean?
And remember we said that it does not matter how much somebody else tells you this thing, because if you don't believe it about yourself, it's truly just in one ear out the other. You know what I mean?
So I'm literally shocked, because okay, I don't know if I've like,
are you gonna cry?
Told you guys this, but like, okay, there was okay, it's kind of a weird situation. Like,
okay,
I think
I'm ready.
like growing up, I really like never thought very highly of myself in terms of like, you are worthy. Like it was always based in my accomplishments. And so when I first started dating, there was one guy who like it got a little bit serious with, and like I think that he like truly taught me how to love myself, because it was like he saw so many like good, inherently valuable things about me, like just because I am alive versus like my accomplishments, that like my my perspective kind of shifted in that way. And so I was just like reminded of that. I don't really know why, but I think it's because like I didn't believe that for so long, and then finally after like him just repeating it finally like somewhere within me I was like, whoa, like I actually believe it. And so since then I think like I've become way more confident, but it's crazy to think of like where that like started, like stemmed from, you know? So no, it was like a crazy experience, but
that when you were kind of dating, so well, why do you think you didn't believe that about yourself? I'm gonna assume like minus your one day boyfriend. We're not talking about that dating.
We're not talking about my 8th grade one day boyfriend. No, this was like,
but like growing up
a couple years ago, I want to say, but I think it was just that like the only people I heard it from were my parents, and I felt like there's an obligation there. And so I never heard it from other people, even like friends, like, you know, like gassing each other up. Like, dude, that wasn't a thing. Like, we wouldn't really gas each other up.
Wait, really?
In high school? I don't think so.
Aww. Maybe once we started going out.
Going out. Yeah, but it wasn't until like
I think our group of friends were just too big.
Oh, there were too many compliments to give.
So you guys do have a lot of people in your friend group.
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know what it was, but like maybe because the only people I heard it from, I felt like, oh, they have to say this. So I never like really like learned how to like give that validation to myself. Like there was like I had never heard of like positive affirmations. Like even if I would talk to myself in the mirror, it would be constant like negative things. Yeah. And so I think that maybe like finally I was like, oh, if somebody else can see this in me, then it must be there. So I thank him for that. I always thank him for that.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. But I guess like when it comes to you and your like past significant other, like how did you see yourself like rooting your confidence in that relationship, or like looking for it within him?
Well, I just like wanted him to make me feel special. And I think it was because I didn't think that I was special. I needed somebody to kind of tell me that I was. I mean, obviously like there are things that your partner can do in terms of like showing that they love you, or that they like spending time with you, or affection, or like, you know, like love languages, right?
Yeah.
But I think there is, again, there's a fine line between like, oh, like your partner actually doing that because like obviously you guys are in a relationship, versus like you seeking that out because you're insecure and like you're empty within, and you don't have that love within yourself.
Yeah.
I think for me, I just wanted him to tell me like that I was pretty, like, and again, like that's a part of a relationship, but like I think I would just depend on that too much. And so it's like, oh, if he didn't tell me that I was pretty, like sometimes I'd be like, oh, I feel like I don't feel good because like, you know, he didn't tell me I'm pretty, so maybe I'm not pretty, and just like all this stuff that doesn't really like is very, it doesn't make sense. But you know, in that context it did. I was just like, what, like, you know, what is going on?
No, I'm just laughing a little because dude, an endless amount of times I just come up to my mom and I'm like, Oma, don't I look pretty? Like all the time, right? And my mom's just like, Julie, be quiet. Julie, 저리 가. My mom was like, shoo, get away.
Yeah.
But
well, that also reminds me, that reminds me because like my mom is hypercritical. Like she would rarely ever give me compliments. So growing up, she'd always criticize like anything, like the way that I dressed. Like I have darker skin.
But is it like constructive criticism?
No, it's rude. It's rude. It's rude. And like I also don't want to paint my mom like she's an evil person, because she's not. Like I love her, but also like growing up, you know, there's just some things that I think she could have handled differently. Yeah. And so definitely. I think also it's because like she's a single mom, and she has like that high expectation of herself. So she kind of like put that onto me. And so she'd always criticize me.
Like thick skin, right?
Yeah,
like
kind of. And she like wanted me to be, I guess like she like wanted me to be that way too. But like, she never really complimented me. And I think like now she compliments me more, and I'm able to like kind of defend myself more. Yeah. But when I was growing up, she'd always just nitpick little like literally everything. Like I just remember like we're in the elevator, I'm about to go to school, she'll look at me and be like, I don't know about those shoes. Or like, your skin looks extra dark today. And guys, this is real. This is real. Like, she loves, you know, like that pale skin. Like,
yeah.
And this is just who I am. Like, I just get like really, I just take in color really easily.
Yeah, me too.
She does too, so I don't know why. She'd be like, but she's very, she's very like hypercritical. So,
wow.
And that kind of like created this inner voice within myself too. Like, sometimes I hear things. Okay, this is like might be a tangent, but like an example would be my tattoos. I have a lot of tattoos, and my mom does not like my tattoos. And so anytime anybody would like point out my tattoos, because it's it's a conversation starter. I have a lot of tattoos. When people would do that, they'd just be like, "Oh, your tattoos," and I started hearing it in her voice. And so you know, like that's how you know that like my inner voice was really molded by the way that, you know, she talked to me.
Yeah.
So that kind of, I think, like.
So you guys are just opposites. We got I don't know what to name your situation, and then we got Kongjupyeong over here, where she's like, I'm so pretty. No one in my household can handle.
Wait, okay, I have so many thoughts because I don't know, maybe it's a Korean mom thing, because similarly, something my mom would tell me repeatedly, and I, you know, let that persuade me for a bit, was actually her telling me that green didn't look good on me. So I didn't wear green for a really long time because I also had very dark skin growing up, because I played a lot. Like, I mean, I think I shared the story about how I went to the sauna in Korea and a grandma came up to me and asked me why I was so dark. You know, like I was really dark. But I think the difference is, I think for her, maybe I just gave her the benefit of the doubt. Like, I felt like her criticisms were coming from love.
Yeah.
Although it was really hard to hear, like I felt like they were coming truly from her maybe experiences.
Yeah.
But I think, no, there was definitely a time when that all happened. But my second point is, I think like through our personality tests, right? Like I've already identified optimism is a big strength of mine, and so is gratitude, right? So I think it also takes maybe it was my personality of just like how I wanted to take that in. And then there were obviously times when like I could not take it anymore, and then we'd have family meetings, right? But if we had to touch upon 공주병 for a little bit, I almost want to tie it into maybe coping mechanism too.
Yeah.
Like my coping mechanism of it being optimism.
So how would you describe your 공주병 then?
Well,
so when you say
what is
공주병,
공주병 first?
oh right,
If you literally translate it, like 병 is a disease, you guys.
princess disease.
It's a princess disease. It's a princess disease. And like, right, there's 왕자병, which is like prince disease.
Oh, which lots of Korean men have.
Yep, a lot of Korean men.
Mm-hmm. It's because I haven't heard that word in a while, and so I'm just like, oh, flashback to elementary when people would be like, oh, she has 공주병. So I guess I've 공주병.
But it's almost like my NPD, right? My narcissistic personality disorder, where I maybe self-diagnosed 35%. I don't think I'm like 100%.
No, you're
Like,
not 100%.
I'm also like
But you're not 0%.
like a 40%.
Yeah.
Like, I think if
40?
you were at 100%, then you'd also be psychotic. So
Thank God you're not 100%. Yeah.
Where does this root from?
I think it's so many things. Like if I really try to think of one thing, there is no one thing. I think another reason why I may be a little bit girlier or like love pink so much is because my mom doesn't have that.
You've always said that your mom is like the bro, right?
Kind of. I mean, I think she dresses very fashionably too, but like she had two brothers, right? So she never knew how to braid my hair. Like I had to self-teach, but even then, like my pigtails were tied by my dad because he was close to his sisters.
yeah. Oh, that's
And
cute.
like she was just never like she's not the girly type. So maybe like the absence of that from her. What else?
But 공주병 is kind of like the way that you act too, right? It's not just the way that you present yourself. Or is it just about the way that you present yourself?
No, I think it
It's
is.
like
It's
more about
definitely
like
how you
attitude,
act.
right?
It's a
It's a
disease.
disease. It's
So
everything.
it's everything.
It impacts every part of your life. Okay, it's everything. It's your actions also. And I think that might come from. I think that might come from my mom always having shown more like attention to my sister. And like me, like I think so, because like going back, like my dad wasn't around too much like when we were younger, and I think hands down my mom's favorite child is my sister, I think. Like, I think.
And you're your dad's?
Well, I think deep down inside, I think I'm both of theirs. Like, deep down inside. But she... Is that cghim? Yes! I'm just being honest. I think deep down inside I'm their favorite, but I think my mom like expresses more. Like I think she knows that I am a little tougher, maybe. Right. So like she shows more care to my sister. So, and then with my dad not being there, like I think that was also my coping mechanism.
Whoa.
Yeah.
That's so interesting. I feel like my parents almost like, okay, so my parents are both the oldest of their siblings, and so I feel like they kind of like always sided with me growing up, because you would think when me and my younger sister are fighting that they would take the younger sister's side. No. They almost always took my side, because they started to see that like my sister was like they knew that my sister could beat me up. Dude, my sister was a giant baby. Like she was literally,
she's tall.
She has dislocated my shoulder. She once literally, I think she was maybe 2, threw a remote at my face and my nose started bleeding because they wanted to change the channel. Yes,
I remember.
Yeah.
She was just like so angry. She like chucked it at me.
Yeah. And so they knew that like if they didn't like put her in her place, then like she would just wreak havoc.
Man, that's where everything went wrong, man.
Exactly. So they did the opposite, where they would actually take my side a lot of the times, but I almost think it had like an opposite effect, where like I just started to feel bad, because even if it like was my fault, they would always get mad at my sister.
Oh my god! But also, you were so nice to even feel bad.
Yeah.
No, I do think like that inherent like, oh, I have to take care of her, like I have to protect her even if it's me that's fighting her, would come into play.
Gosh.
That is so sweet.
But in terms of like confidence and like how that affected me, I almost feel like my sister started to just like not give a fuck about what anybody thought, whereas like I was always like nunchi buying, like looking at how other people were like perceiving me, and so I feel like I like wasn't as like confident as my sister was, because she like didn't give a fuck about anything, and so I feel like it was like very opposite the way that we've learned the lessons that our parents taught us.
Yeah. I think we need to reiterate, I'm not diseased.
You really made it sound like
cghim.
Everyone, Julie is sick. We're gonna start a GoFundMe
to cure this princess disease.
She's gonna spend it on a Lulu.
I probably am.
Lululemon. Okay, but with your disease.
Oh my god. All right.
Okay, with your princess disease and you just being honestly maybe the most confident person that I know, how has that like affected you in your relationships? Like, were your partners as confident as you? Like, how has it been?
That is a great question. I think in one of my relationships, when it ended, right? I remember thinking, okay, this is like a fine line between confidence and cocky. And I was extremely sad when we broke up. But then I also feel like a part of me thought like, man, like I could have been such a good girlfriend to him, right? Like, I think that's how I kind of got over it. Like, it was truly like, I was so ready to be in a relationship. I was so ready to give so much like love to this person. And I don't know, when I think about it, I'm not like, I think it was like to him, I was so ready to give so much love to him, but like he wasn't ready. And no matter how much you're ready to give like yourself, if they're not ready to receive, like the amount that you're giving just like flows to nowhere. It's like that same thing about like when you're giving that, you know, like the words of affirmation, like you're so pretty, but they're not ready to receive it, or they don't believe it about themselves. It's actually just like it's useless kind of, right? So I think that's how I got over it, really, was like I was so ready to be a good girlfriend, but this person wasn't ready to receive it. So then like, who's like, you know, like who's losing here, right? Like I can like build myself back up, like give myself that love, and then when I'm ready to give all this stuff to somebody who is ready to receive it, then I'm gonna give it to him. So that's how one relationship went. And then I think another, like I said in the very beginning, having confidence is like trusting yourself. And I think we kept butting into some insecurity problems, to be honest. And it roots the same foundation of, it doesn't matter how many times I am providing that affirmation or like reassuring him, like, dude, there's like nothing going on between us. Like if he was really insecure about a guy friend, for example, like I feel like at first I thought it was getting through to him. But obviously a couple months down the road, a year down the road, like nothing changed. And then I think I started to doubt myself, like, am I really doing something wrong here? Like, I'm just like meeting up with like a guy friend. But for example, one example, like we don't even live in the same state. He's visiting for 2 weeks. I'm grabbing lunch with him once.
Right.
Was that like so bad of me to do? I don't know. And then I started thinking like, this seems kind of like a him problem.
Oh.
Right? Like, I think if I truly did something to lose your trust, like lose his trust, did something shady, then I would maybe like understand. Like if I had made a mistake before and then he like, you know, like gave me another chance and I did it, like, you know what I mean? Like if I gave him a reason to not trust me, I think that's another story. But I feel like I never gave him a reason to. So...
Right. Because it's not like you were ever like even remotely unfaithful. And so even him like considering that possibility, like that has to come from like within. Like,
and this is what I think. This is just like, I think this is what I think. I think we never really became too vulnerable with each other to really like get to the root of it. So I don't know if this is like really it. I think it is because a lot of our fights stemmed from my guy friends, kind of, right? And so I'm not trying to say this in like a mean way. I wish I could have like shared some of that confidence, you know?
Yes.
Like, because I think at first it seemed like a him issue, but then it started to impact like the both of us, like our relationship.
Right. Because like if your partner is not secure in themselves, that will inevitably come up.
Yeah, there's nothing that you can do for them, for you to provide that.
Yeah.
That's something that they have to do for themselves.
Yeah. Like, you know, when they say like you put your own oxygen mask on first, like that's exactly the same thing. Like you have to make sure that you are feeding your own confidence, otherwise you're gonna be looking for that in other people like constantly. And I think that's like a life-changing thing that I've heard recently on TikTok. Like if you aren't giving yourself that validation, then you're gonna go seeking it out in other people. And so that's why you find so many people on the dating apps just like starting conversations and then never responding, or like just swiping and never actually matching, because I think that it's a lot of just like, I don't feel good about myself, but like maybe others like will. And so it's like, you know, like the small hits of serotonin or dopamine or whatever it is.
I mean, I'm guilty of doing that still sometimes.
Same.
And it's very temporary, you know? I mean, I think it has a purpose and it's very temporary. So, I mean, and there's nothing wrong with that. I think it's only a natural part of existing, like wanting that external validation. Of course. But again, it's unhealthy when you are solely relying on that to feed yourself. Yeah. And I also want to comment how you were saying how your first relationship, you had a lot to give, and my past relationship it played out exactly how you thought it would. And I think it was even harder for me because I felt like I was really stripped to the core when the relationship, of all that love. Yeah, when the relationship ended. Yeah, I was just so tired because I felt like I was giving so much, but like there was just like nothing that I could do anymore. Right. So I really wish I had your confidence to be like, you know, like this is done.
Well, you just lost a great girlfriend.
Yeah, basically. But no, I did not, and I stayed in the relationship, and I really I felt like that's why. I mean, that's essentially why I had to start over, right? Like I felt so insecure because I wasn't receiving that love. I didn't get that validation from somebody that was essentially supposed to, you know, provide that. And for from my background of like always seeking that validation from other people, I literally felt like I had to start over when I said like, oh, like in terms of like building my confidence and like finding that within myself, I really had to start from the ground up.
Yeah.
So what did that look like starting from the ground up?
I mean, every time I get asked this question, it's so hard to like pinpoint, but I think for me at least, I was just really tired of being that friend that was mad, sad all the time and just complaining all the time. I mean, that in itself is tiring, you know, like to always be angry.
I think it's harder to, right? It takes more energy to be angry at somebody than to
and I just kept noticing like I would just go to my friends all the time. I'd always have something to say. I'd always have something to bitch about. Like I'd always just be mad. And there was people have pointed out to me before too, besides my boyfriend, but I think I just never really like thought much into it. But I remember like one of my old friends, he was like, why are you always stressed? And like I was very mad when he asked me that, because it was just like, oh, why is he asking me that? Like, shouldn't he be more concerned, you know, versus like pointing out like why I'm all stressed all the time? But it was really true. Like I was always riled up about like the littlest things. Like I don't know, I was just upset all the time. And at a certain point I was just tired of that, and I just really had to sit with myself and be like, okay, like why are you so upset? And so that's when I realized like, okay, I really want to stop feeling like this. It's so hard and tiring, on top of like literally just life in general, you know, like it's hard to deal with these kind of feelings, especially when you have other things going on. So I think like there was a point in time where I just had to really, again, like sit down and be like, I don't want to feel like this anymore. I can only say this now because I'm in hindsight. I'm not in that mindset anymore. Like now I feel so good, and I know what makes me happy. Like after sitting down with myself and like really just putting in the work, like now I know. But prior to this whole journey, I wasn't able to really do that for myself. But that's also because, again, like if your mental health, like if you feel unwell inside, like it's so hard to even think about confidence. So I think like when you talk about like building from the ground up, you really have to think about like, okay, how do you feel about your life? How do you feel like within? And then you can start thinking about self-love, and then naturally confidence will just come, because like you're putting in the work.
Putting in the work.
So it's like I think if you're in a really dark place, it's hard to, it feels really far, but you really have to, it's not just like, because you know people are always like confidence, but think about where your headspace, think about ways that you can make yourself feel happy, make yourself feel better, and then you'll start to love yourself in different ways. You'll start to notice different things about yourself. You start to embrace yourself. You'll start to be more comfortable with yourself, and then confidence will naturally come.
Oh my gosh.
And that's what I'm saying. It's
Let's go.
It takes a while. It's not as simple as like looking at yourself every day and telling yourself you look pretty. Like, I mean, that is a part of it, but there's so much more. There's so much more to it. I mean, like, obviously, if you feel really insecure about the way that you look, then yes, by all means, look in the mirror and tell yourself you look pretty every day, because it does, in the long run, it does really affect the way that you think about yourself. Because when I say that my mom really influenced my inner voice, I just like never thought that I could do anything, that I was capable of anything. And it's so crazy, because it's like, I don't know, it just makes me sad, because it's like I can't believe that like I really thought that low of myself, that like cause, like honestly, like even in high school, like I went to a very competitive high school, and like I didn't apply the main reason why I didn't apply to like 4-year colleges outside, because I'm a transfer student. The main reason why was because I just thought I couldn't get in, and and I think obviously now in hindsight I can like identify this, but like I just would tell myself no a lot.
Right. It's like telling yourself no rather than giving other people the opportunity to tell you no. Like it's like I would much rather play it safe and like and like be able to almost like use it as an excuse and say like, oh, I didn't apply, that's why I didn't get in.
And I think I would used to live in fear a lot, and again like we are all motivated by different things, and you know my mom, again, she lives like even to this day, like I can see how she lives in fear, and that kind of makes me angry because it's like, oh wow, like I feel like growing up that really affected the way that I grew up. Like I've always wanted to play guitar, I've always loved singing, but she'd always be like, oh, that's for like boys, so like that's why she wanted me to do piano, or like she wouldn't let me do certain things because she's just so fearful of like the way that other people would think of me, or like, you know, just things that can happen. Obviously like she's a mom, so that makes sense, but I feel like it's just sometimes it just doesn't make sense to me, you know. And so it's just like there's just so many things that I feel like coming back now, I look back and I'm just like, wow, like things could have really been different if I just allowed myself, or even had the support to do what I really wanted to do.
Yeah. That too, though, that was so much meat.
I know.
That was so much meat to unpack. I think your comment about like when you start like accepting who you are, like loving yourself, like that, when you're in a good headspace is when you'll start to just like confidence just kind of, it'll be inevitable, right? I think during the like the puberty stages of your life, or obviously your environment influences you a lot. Just some examples, like I think I'm very athletically built, right? Like I worked out a lot, like as a kid, like figure skating. Like I feel like, you know, figure skaters are pretty thin, but I just had really big calves and like really strong thighs,
strong legs. Love it.
Like legs for days. And I don't know when it really happened. Oh, actually, I do know when it happened. I think it was like our group of friends. Like, I think a couple of our friends had commented like, oh, like, I really like how like fit you look. And so I think that's when it first sparked in my brain, like, oh, like people like the way I look. Right here I am like, oh, like my sister's always been a bit more skinnier than me. Like, oh, I just want to be skinny. I just want to be skinny. Like my sister. But, oh no, there are people that like the way I look. And I think it's about like how, like, right, the headspace, how you're thinking about things, like your perspective, because here you are always wanting like what you don't have, but you also have to think like the opposite, the other perspective of some people would die to have what you have. Right. So I think, I don't know if this is like my gratitude thinking, my optimism thinking, but I think that's when I realized, like, I don't know, I kind of grew up in a bubble. So like when I started to engage with all these people from different backgrounds and stuff like that, I started, I think, to accept myself more. Same thing with getting tan so easily. This is a word for you, in case you know, still like have, you know, like, you know, insecurity issues about being so tan. Girlfriend, people pay so much money to get spray tans. Like I didn't know that until college. Right? Like we live in LA, and so inevitably, like when you're driving, like, dude, for a long time my left arm was darker than my right arm because of the driving, right? But then I went to college in a tundra, and all these people were paying like, actually don't even know how much it is because I've never gotten one, but like would get spray tans to get darker. So that's when I was like, man, like why God gave me this gift of being able to tan so easily. We may need to embrace it more.
And I think that's a great point, where it's like you just gotta embrace your full self. Like the way that you look, the way that you are as a person. And I think it gets so much easier when you stop being so mean to yourself. Because for me, and I know it's very like, you hear that a lot, but it's also like just think about the way that you talk to yourself. Like I read something, like I was reading this book called like, oh, How to Become Supernatural. It's very spiritual, and like it sounds very,
I love woo woo.
Yeah, woo woo. Maybe shit. Lauren will like this book. Or she's already read it. But he was talking about how like you live your life 80% unconsciously, because you're basically living how you trained your mind like your entire life, if that makes sense.
Yes.
And so like you're only living your life conscious, like 20% of your life is lived consciously. And so it's like that was really like mind-blowing to me, because I was just like, wow, like there's probably so many habits that I have that I don't even know that I do literally every day that are unconscious. And so that's the hard part, is when like unlearning the stuff, like Julie always thought, like unlearning the things that you've done like your whole life basically, and like figuring out like what is healthy and what is not, and like just trying to build from scratch, I guess.
No, it is. And also I think it can be a blessing sometimes to have to build from scratch. Because I think that like during quarantine, and like you had mentioned, you know, like when you're in dark times, like you can't really think about confidence. Like you're not thinking about like, oh, let me journal every day. Like you're not like, you know, implementing all these like self-care practices. But I think that like knowing that eventually this dark time will pass, though it seems like an never ending hole, sometimes you just have to like accept where you're at and be like, this is happening for a reason, and then like not adding on to the darkness by judging it.
Yes.
You know, because I think
Yes.
it's like really easy to get into this headspace of like, why am I feeling down?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
why do I feel shitty today? But like as soon as you realize like, oh wait, like everything is just like in God's timing or whatever you believe, and so like letting it pass and then eventually coming out, like you'll start to journal if you know if that's something you want to do, and then you'll start to just like realize that like, oh, you know what, like this is who I am, and like if I want something to change, I have everything in me to change it. But if not, like you just have to like fully embrace yourself
and take the time that you need, because I think like again like Hana was saying, like it seems so permanent. I just don't want, if anybody's listening and they're going through a tough time, like just know that there literally is a light to the end of the tunnel. So it's like don't, it's not permanent.
Like we're saying, once you're out of it, like once you are through it, you will look back and be like, oh my gosh, like I kind of understand. Like I get why we had to go through that. And like for me, I think like it's kind of a sense of relief when you come out on the other end of things, because it's like I'm so proud of myself for getting through that. Like I think part of my confidence is knowing that I'm able to like get through that, like kind of wait it out, and like
resilience.
Yes.
But yeah, I mean, again, it takes a while, and like I mean, even today, like I struggle with my confidence in a lot of different aspects of my life, you know, like I think a part of the journey is like really finding that balance of like, or just accepting the fact that yes, you're going to have fears and doubts, but like, again, like not letting it control you.
Yeah.
Like for example, so many examples, but like I have this idea of who I want to be and like what I want to become. And like, one of those things is like being really articulate, and that's always been very hard for me. So even like being on this podcast is I'm pushing myself.
Ooh,
but I know that the only way to become this person that I want to be is to keep doing that, right?
To face it.
Yeah.
You know?
Like, and obviously it's just scary. I'm being recorded. I've never done this in my entire life. Like, this is
on YouTube,
this is online.
TikTok.
And like so many people will probably hear this, or I don't know if like anybody that I know like have, you know, listened to podcasts, but you know what I mean? Like it's up on the internet forever. But it's like, I'm here because I know what I wanted, the type of person that I want to be, and in order for me to become that person, I just got to keep doing it until it becomes natural. And that's how a lot of people get to where they want to be, right?
Exactly.
It's like if you do something a lot, it'll become not as scary.
No, and like I think that's why when I heard Mel Robbins' 5-second rule, where it's like, if you want to do something, you have to do it within 5 seconds, because otherwise like you will make excuses. Like your body is just there to protect you. Like your mind is there to protect you. And so it'll look for every single excuse to be like, oh, this is not safe. Right. But then like, now that we're not living in the forest, like, like barbarians, like Neanderthals, like all those like imminent threats aren't really threats to us if you think about it, as long as it's not like threatening our like, you know, safety, I guess. But I guess like for me, one of the prime examples of where like confidence, and we'll probably do another podcast episode on this, is like it has to do with like my body image. Like I think that like when you talked about how like you hear your mom's like voice, like that has like kind of become like your internal monologue in a sense. I constantly hear my parents being like, oh, just if you lost just 10 more pounds. Like even my grandma just being like, oh, like even Julie's mom has made a comment like, oh, Sarjasa, like being like, you gained weight. Like I hear those things over and over in my head, but I think that like when I really, really reflect on it, like I've just heard it so often to the point where like it's become my own personal like internal monologue. And so I just like, that's literally what I tied my confidence to almost solely my entire life, because everything else like I got it on lock. Like I like school, I did well. I could public speak. Like I'm mediocre at dancing. Like I got by and everything, right?
Hannah's great at dancing.
Except for body image. That was the one thing that my dad was like, why is this the one thing that you can't get down? Right?
So mean.
And
I'm
like,
gonna cry.
and like that's the thing is like I know he's doing it out of love, like because he wants me to be the best version of myself. So I think there is like a sense of like him doing it out of accountability, but then like because that was the only thing that I felt like so out of control of, that became the only thing that I rooted my confidence in. And so even in the dating sense now, like you guys know that like post breakup, like I've been having a really hard time like getting back into the dating scene. And I think I've been asking myself why that is. And like, it's because I'm like constantly comparing my body right now to my body like when I first started online dating, when I was like going on a date or 3 a week and I was having so much fun with it. Like I was literally like so happy to go out there and like meet new people. And I was like, even if it's a bad date, like I'll learn something. And like when I compare like my body now to like my body in the past, I think that's almost harder than when you compare your body to other people's bodies, because you know it's so like almost in your grasp but like not. And so even today, like I went to the gym and then like on the car ride home I was like talking to Allie, my roommate, and we were just talking about how like I look at the past and like specifically my body in the past with such rose tinted glasses. But when I really think about it, my relationship with food was at its unhealthiest. My relationship with like the gym and working out was at its unhealthiest. Like I was not happy other than in my like how I like looked physically, but even then I still wasn't satisfied. So now I'm like looking at it and I'm like, you know what, like I'm so much happier overall that like it almost makes up for it. Like I'm like feeling like better about where I'm at because my relationship with food is like literally the best it's ever been. Even the gym, I'm like, wait, I love this. Like I actually don't hate it. And so I think like it's really hard when you're rooting your confidence in something like so external.
I think another point is that like you kind of have to, well, my issue was that I would internalize everything that everyone said. Like, but I think in the end you should really just honor yourself and honor how you feel and what you want. And I think that I know it's hard sometimes, but I feel like that it should be your priority. And I'm just so happy that you're at that place now.
Yeah.
Dude, same.
Because I could really like, I mean, I could very much relate to like the comparison thing where it's like always comparing myself, my body at that moment to my high school body, which is like, dude, you're in college, you're growing, like that is so unrealistic, right? So it's just like, I think that's also important. It's just like, what are you comparing yourself to?
Yeah.
I also relate. Well, as I've shared, well, see, and I think like it's so hard because, like I said, everyone's situation is so different. I think for me, it was almost like, you know, you have those friends where their parents are so strict with alcohol, they go to college and then like, they just kind of binge on alcohol.
Yep.
I think for me, it was like kind of snacks, right? Like I wasn't really working in high school, so I mean, what kind of foods were at the house? Whatever my mom bought from the market. And so even if I went to the market with her, it was always kind of like ask for permission. It wasn't like we're getting this. It's like, oh my, like, can we get a bag of these? And then sometimes it would be a yes, sometimes it was a no. But we weren't like the type of household that always had the pantry filled with snacks. And so then I go to college and have this freedom of like, we called it the junction my freshman year. Dude, you guys, I was ripping through a bag of like family size like chips a week, like one a week. Like I was eating so much. And you know, in the moment you don't really realize until I came home winter break. But my parents didn't tell me this then. And I think I shared this. They didn't tell me this then, but later they said, oh yeah, like we were kind of worried. You looked real round when you were like walking through those doors. Because I actually you know, I'm an overachiever. I shared, I exceeded the freshman 15, right? But I think in that case, it was like, for me, it was, although in the moment I was like really fulfilling like my happiness through these snacks, I did not feel good at all. You know, like none of my pants fit. And you know, like you would think like stretchy pants that would make you feel better. I couldn't even wear leggings because like the legging strap was like it was suffocating. I couldn't even wear my leggings. Right. And it's just so funny because when you're like, at least for me, like with my height and like having gained like 20 pounds, like you don't find the motivation, like the energy to even work out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because you don't feel like you're heavier, right? Like, so it was harder, it was harder to just do things. I didn't, and you know, I love taking pictures, but I didn't look like how I used to. And so I was like putting me in a more like sad, just, I was not in a good place, right? But I definitely gained back my confidence. It was almost like a domino effect. Like when I started to work out regularly, which, you know what, I'm just gonna blame it. Okay, it's I fully believe it's under my control.
Yeah.
But I think like with it never having been sunny in Syracuse, like I think that also really impacted like my mood and like, I don't know, willingness, motivation, the drive. But once I got like that groove going, when I came back home, it was almost like a domino effect. Like kind of get back to a healthy weight. Like for me, it wasn't like let's become like stick skinny, but it was like just be at a space where I could like be healthy again.
Right.
But not just physically, like mentally too.
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah.
And I like what you said, like in terms of domino, like everything is so connected. Like when I was at a bad mental state, bro, you know that my physically I did not feel good.
Yeah.
And so like I think a large part of this had to do with like blaming myself, because like for the longest time I thought that, oh, because I'm not like feeling good physically, it's affecting my mental state. Dude, I think it's opposite for sure. At least for me. You may be different, but like for me, like
no, I agree.
Like now that I'm at a good mental state, like it's just like, oh wow, everything is slowly like everything's coming together. And so it
becomes so much easier too. I think like, you know, when you're sad and you're in a dark place, the last thing you want to do is go work out, to be honest. Like,
exactly.
And so it's like, what I want to reiterate is that like, you know, look within yourself. Yeah. Like really examine like where you are in your life. And if you're unhappy with the way that you look, it's probably more than just the physical aspect, you know? And I think that's that's the hard part. You have to really look within yourself, and you have to really be able to sit down and just face yourself without judgment too. Because if you're judgmental, that also clouds everything and affects everything, and it makes everything a lot harder. So just because I think with judgment, correct me if I'm wrong, but you're probably being judgmental because you're comparing yourself to something else, right? Yeah, something else that you are defining as like better or prettier, right? So, and another thing is that like a lot of people are like, don't compare yourself, but I think that's also very unrealistic. I think it's very human for us to compare, you know. And I was actually listening to a podcast and they're talking about how you can use social comparison in a positive way. It's not always negative. And I completely relate to this because it's like I have so many people that I look up to. Like and I think like it really helped me to kind of study them. And like I just watch interviews of like my favorite singers, favorite rappers, favorite producers. Like I just watch so many interviews and I'm just like, wow, I just like really want to be like them. But it's not like in a jealous way. It's like, wow, like I hope to really become like this person when I'm older, or like after some experience, you know. And so I think that really helps too, is like training your mind to not be jealous. Like I don't know. It's not a competition too. It's like, why? Ooh, like it's so really great. Not a competition, guys. Wow. Like after you realize that, and you just like, it's so much easier. Like you're not the only person that, you know, like you can really everyone can exist in the same space. Like nobody is the same person. Wow. So it's literally, because I feel like, you know, when you think about Shake Shack and In-N-Out.
That is not the example.
You cannot compare them. They are both equally good and for different reasons. And so when I see a pretty girl, or when I see someone really smart, don't even compare myself, because it's like, especially girls, I feel like it's very like easy to be like, and it's like it's almost celebrated in media to like pit girls against each other. But I think once you realize it's not a competition, and we're not meant to be like, we're not meant to compete with each other, like we're all different and unique in our own ways, like it just becomes a lot easier to kind of, I don't know, celebrate other people.
I love that.
And like,
oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
You're speaking to Miss Competitive over here.
Wait, but I'm not competitive like that. But maybe I am. Well, that's the scary part, right? I feel like society, Ivy Leagues, for example, like just we thrive on exclusivity, which like, when you step out of the box and you think about it like that, like that's a good reminder, I think, to have that like there's no cap on like the number of pretty people in this world. Yeah. But even then, reminding ourselves that pretty is so subjective. Yeah. Right? And so who cares if somebody doesn't think you're pretty? Yeah. And who cares? I mean, if they think you're pretty, great. But like all that matters at the end is like how you think and how you feel about yourself. Yeah. Which ultimately, I do think like a healthy, like the healthy answer is to root that validation within yourself. Right?
Yeah. Damn.
Yeah, wait, you spoke some wise words today.
Jeez, just dropping bombs.
Seriously.
She said boom. She said kaboom.
I was trying to think of a funnier one, but I couldn't. Dang it. Oh no, I think it's like competitive. The Hana's a funny one. Hana's a funny one.
You guys are both funny.
No, I think you're freaking hysterical.
You guys are both funny.
Yeah.
But
if I can leave you guys with like a bit of advice, you have to like learn and train yourself about what to give a fuck about, right? So if you are constantly thinking about what other people are thinking about you, and don't get me wrong, I do this too, it's so difficult to like come into your own, right? Like it's so difficult to like uncover yourself, as we spoke about in Lauren's episode. Like I think that is one of the biggest things that like has clouded me in my journey. And so if I could, say anything, like, dude, who cares? Like if you want to do something, like you do it.
Honor yourself and what you want to do.
Yeah.
Because you are holding your own self back.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Wow. That's all I have. Wow.
Okay. Julie leaves you with wow.
Yeah. Wow. I'm just so like,
wow. It's a lot of stuff, but I hope Kogis can take some things away from it. But it is,
I hope so
it's
too.
a lot. If you're just starting your journey, keep going. Don't give up. Like I think that's the biggest thing too, is like you're gonna have hard days, but you gotta learn how to pick yourself back up.
Exactly. Like don't let one setback, even like a couple. I think I'm guilty of this. Like I think like what sets me in that like negative mindset is like that one setback, like, oh, it's all over.
But it's not.
Like,
it's really not.
Like we said, you're gonna like a year down the road or even the next day, you're gonna be like, why was I so upset about that? Like trust me. Like just trust.
Cool. Well, thank you so much, Diane, for speaking wisdom on the podcast once again.
Good stuff,
and
good stuff.
Just in general, she's just been an amazing part of this team. So thank you so much.
I love being a part of this team. It's so fun.
It's so fun.
I'm having a great time.
I love it. We're not forcing her to do this. I swear. And so if you guys want to support Diane, please go ahead and subscribe to her YouTube channel at Diane. On Instagram, she's at DAMMD. And so that's DAMMMNDEE. And are there any other? Oh, and she is also on TikTok.
I am.
What's your TikTok handle though?
I don't remember.
I don't even think I know.
Oh, her TikTok handle is DAMMD. Except there's one more M. That's real confusing. DAMMMNDEE.
I wish it could be all consistent, but sometimes it's taken for all the time.
You're right.
Yeah.
Then you guys can follow us on Instagram and TikTok at bulgogi.podcast and on Twitter at bulgogipodcast. I'm at HANAKATTT.
And I'm BEJULIFIET.
cool. Subscribe to our YouTube. Like, comment, share with your friends, guys.
Yeah, my dad was making fun of me.
Why?
He was like, "Oh, you only have 2 likes. Let me like that for you."
Okay. See you.
Alrighty.
Bye.
What do you mean?
Oh.
She's tired, bro. She's
I
tired.
ended with
Oh my god. And I hate saying, "What do you mean like that?" What do you mean?
What do you mean?
No, I don't like that. What do you mean? Are you ready? 1, 2, 3. You guys, this means close. You guys, one more time. 1, 2, 3. That was great. Good job, team.